Welcome to Two Voices. I'm On.
And I'm Alfred. The tricky thing is when it comes to being around people and doing like, oh, I don't want to do that. That's less valuable than being around somebody who you look at and go like, I want to do that. If you ask me.
No. When I was in USC, in one of the classes, this girl was writing this story, and the premise was really fascinating to me. But I didn't think she took it far enough. And then, as I read it, I was like, yeah, no, I would do it differently. I like her idea, but how she's executing is just not enough. I mean, it's insufficient, so that got me to thinking about my own writing. It's like, how am I being insufficient and not thinking outside the box? Because isn't that what writers do? We step outside the box.
Yeah, we typically try to.
Even if we create our own box, it's still our own individual box, even if it's like a mystery or romance, where it's pretty much its own, there's a
ecosystem of sorts. What do you mean?
Yeah, you have to sort of follow a certain pattern to it. There's still individuality that you can still elevate that to a really good romance novel or a really good mystery novel, or you can just go rote or below average.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's just the skill of the writer and the imagination of the writer.
So you felt like maybe it was too predictable, or that, because it's like, I feel like you can be constrained within a template and then still execute it really well in various other ways.
I don't think she took enough of a chance.
Seeing other people do pitfalls and think to myself, oh, you know what, I'm doing that. But more often than not, when I see somebody in a pitfall, it's because I've already recognized those pitfalls.
But the thing is, how do you recognize those pitfalls? Because you saw it in other people's works, or
because they're probably
or your instructor went, oh, or maybe one did, or you were smart enough to spot that on your own because how you read someone else's work.
Probably because I read somebody else's work, and you see pitfalls, and they're constantly the same ones. So it's so tricky though. It's like there's things where, like, on one hand I can say like that's bad, but on the other hand I can say, well, that's their style, and that's when it gets.
But that's what's so difficult about writing. It is subjective.
It is subjective.
Someone can love your work, and another person can be like, you can do this, this, and this.
Right.
So.
And then, the tricky thing is you have to, after you've done enough of these kind of classes, you go like, okay, thank you for your suggestion, and you know that you're not going to do it.
At any point, whether you just started writing or if you've been, published for like the last 15 years, they're all, at the end of the day, just suggestions, because you have the power. You are the author.
But that's all the more reason why you want to be in a group full of people that you respect and have good work, because when they give you your suggestion, and again, all suggestions are kind of like, well, you don't know if you want to use them or not. You'd rather they be coming from people that who are writing things that you like and respect. So. Or
that they have enough experience that they're giving you actual feedback you can use.
Yeah.
Even the ones you don't use, at least it starts you questioning, hey, is this where I want to go? And if at the end of that process you say yes, then that's great. Then it means you're on the right path and you can recommit to your theme or your character. Or you might just tweak it just a tiny bit, but that's the value in being in a group, being with instructors, being with writers of all different, I guess, viewpoints, backgrounds, styles.
Yeah, because you don't want to be in an echo chamber of just people who act and write the same as you, because that's dangerous too.
Unfortunately, I think that's what a lot of people want nowadays.
They want
reinforcement of their fragile self-esteem and ego, and the internet
does that.
Gives you that, which is very problematic.
I mean, there's no question that's what people want, because that's what it is doing now. I mean, it's not like you know, Google or Facebook went out of its way to say like, okay, well, you know what, we're going to force everybody into an echo chamber. Instead, everybody's like, no, I'm only clicking things that fits my viewpoints. And so, then they're like, okay, then we will rank them higher. And then next thing you know, echo chamber. So it's clear that's what people want.
I think that's just human nature. We want to be safe
Yeah.
and not be challenged.
Be in your group.
Yeah, and not all people who write are writers, and writers crave that challenge, and the people who just want to play at writing don't. So that's why I'm also wary about all these internet groups, because I don't know. I don't know if you're the real deal or not, and I'm not going to put my time towards people who are just, you know, dipping their toe in.
Because you can find out, but it's going to require a lot of wading through, you know.
Yeah, and I can use that time to actually write.
Yeah, right. So
before you said something about this is scientific, like this method.
Sure.
What do you mean by that?
What I meant was, when it came to, I was referring to different types of instruction, and that the instruction that happens when you're young in grade school is much more based on rules that you can break on occasion, but typically it's very important for you to know these rules, and they're typically followed, you know.
Like grammar?
Grammar, exactly, you know, but the thing is that these...
Well, they're the building blocks.
Yeah.
When you begin, you have to know the building blocks, so you have to follow the rules. That's the foundation. Right,
and those building blocks are very scientific in that these are, you know, like you have your subject here, your verb here, etc. And then they are very discrete, and it's almost like we all came together, we agreed on something as simple as the atom, which in this case is the sentence, right? But then once we get into giant systems, just like, you know, like the entire universe, there's millions of ideas about like what's, you know, the fundamental field theorems and stuff, and people disagree, and it's extremely obtuse and beyond most people's understanding. And that's what I feel happens after you've become more of a writer and gone from being a low-level writer or early writer of just sentences and into trying to make novels and short stories and plays and things like that. And suddenly it's so much harder to get.
You're creating universes instead.
Yeah, universes. You're no longer on this tiny scale.
Yeah,
you know?
You're not like focused on the seed.
Yeah, exactly. And now it's a giant forest. It's so complicated that it's impossible.
So you have to figure out a scientific way to navigate through that without dying.
I don't think there is my point. I don't think there is at least a very simple scientific set of rules that you can easily follow.
There isn't. There can't be, because everyone's different.
It's because everyone's different, but
Every
also
forest
there's just too many.
Is different.
Yeah, there's just too many variables.
It's
too many
like
things going on.
Parallel universes. My universe is not going to be the same as yours, and so if I jump into your universe, what works in mine is going to be all topsy-turvy, and I just might fall off a cliff.
Are you talking about your writing universe?
Yeah, the writing universe.
Okay.
If we're talking about science,
yeah,
as applied to writing.
Sure, we have
so
different
each
rules.
writer is their own universe. We're parallel universes.
Or each work could be.
Yeah, and the bridge is that grammar, those basic rules.
Sure. Okay.
That we learn.
Sure.
At the beginning.
Right.
Yeah. Because if you're writing in Russian and I'm writing in English, there's no connect.
That's true. Or reading, you're speaking Russian and I'm writing in English, there's no connect, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not just between two writers, but a writer and a reader.
And if you don't use verbs, I'm going to read your work and going, what?
Yeah.
And no, thank you.
Yeah. And Joyce is like, screw you anyways. Yeah.
Because I have no idea what you just did.
Yeah.
You communicate nothing.
Yeah, you gotta be able to communicate.
Yeah.